Americans keep getting told the same story about electric SUVs. The market is young, the technology is expensive, and if we give it time, prices will fall and choices will open up. That's the official explanation for why a family shopping for a 3-row electric SUV here gets a short list and a long payment plan. Then you look at what a family in China gets to shop from, and that story falls apart. They can compare an SUV that charges to 80% in roughly 12 minutes against one that swaps its entire battery in 3, then walk to the next brand and find a 7-seat family hauler. I'm going to build a showroom that doesn't exist and fill it with 7 electric SUVs you're not allowed to test drive today. With each one, keep asking the question this video is really about: what would this cost if we were actually allowed to buy it? I'll be straight with you about the catches as we go, because there are real ones. Some would cost more here after tariffs and compliance, and a few would struggle without service networks. But by the 7th SUV, the individual cars stop looking like the real problem. What we're actually missing is bigger than anything parked in this showroom, and the system built to protect our market has quietly protected us from that too. Let's start with a car that's already being delivered to families in Europe right now. Somewhere in Rotterdam this morning, someone picked up a BYD Tang. 7 seats, all-wheel drive, and up to about 330 miles of range on the WLTP cycle, which is the conservative one. It gets to 60 in under 5 seconds, which nobody buying a 7-seater needs and everybody enjoys. There's nothing experimental about it, and that matters. This isn't a concept or a China-only science project. BYD sells the Tang across Europe today, which means it already passes Western crash standards and lives with Western service expectations. So the question stops being whether a Chinese 7-seater can hack it out here. It becomes why Americans are the only ones who don't get to look at it. Now the honest part. The Tang's Dutch starting price sat around 67,400 euros in early 2026, comfortably north of $70,000, and far above what you'd get by converting the Chinese price. That gap is the lesson. Chinese domestic prices cannot be pasted onto an American window sticker. Shipping and taxes move them, and so does local safety compliance. Anyone promising you an $8,000 Chinese SUV in an American driveway is selling you something. But that catch doesn't erase the problem. America has 3-row electric SUVs. The list is tiny and the prices climb fast. BYD is already selling another credible one on 3 continents, and we don't get the choice. For the second car, go price a Cadillac Lyriq or an Audi Q6 e-tron. Now hold that number in your head, because there's a premium electric SUV built on an 800-volt architecture, charging far faster than either of them, that undercuts both. You've never heard its name. The Zeekr 7X isn't a startup with a rendering and a press release. Zeekr belongs to the wider Geely Group, the same industrial family that controls Volvo, Polestar, and Lotus. You already trust these engineers. You trust them enough to put your kids in a Volvo. That same engineering base develops its batteries in-house and runs the high-voltage charging architecture. It produced a luxury 5-seat SUV most American buyers have never seen a photograph of. That's what should bother you more than any spec. The 7X isn't missing here because it's unproven. It's missing because nobody in the American market has an incentive to park it next to a Lyriq carrying a badge premium. The catch is real. Zeekr's brand recognition here is effectively zero, and its Chinese pricing wouldn't survive the trip intact. Fine, let it arrive more expensive and lose the argument on its merits in a showroom. That's how this is supposed to work. The third car you have to experience from the second row. Sit back there in the Li Auto i8 and you get a proper captain's chair, an entertainment screen for the people who aren't driving, and a cabin designed around what passengers do for 4 hours instead of what a truck does at a boat ramp. It's a 6-seat electric SUV with air suspension, and Li Auto claims about 450 miles on China's optimistic CLTC cycle. Knock a chunk off for real-world driving, and it's still a long-legged family car. Look at the philosophy underneath. American family SUVs are still engineered around towing and ground clearance. Because that's the mythology we sell, even to buyers whose heaviest load is a stroller. The i8 is engineered like a living room that moves. Here's the detail that tells you the most about China's market. Li Auto launched the i8 between roughly 321,800 and 369,800 yuan, then collapsed the whole range into a single version priced at 339,800 yuan. It did that 1 week after launch, because buyers complained the trims and pricing were confusing. 1 week. In America, you'd be told to wait for the next model year, which is 3 years out. Over there, complaints get answered publicly and fast because 100 rivals are waiting to take that customer. That pressure is the product. Now start a stopwatch, because this is where the whole video turns. You pull up to a charger in an XPeng G9, plug in, and by the time you've used the restroom and paid for a coffee, you're at 80%. XPeng builds the G9 on an 800-volt platform with a 5C battery and claims 10 to 80% in roughly 12 minutes under the right conditions. 12 minutes. We are still arguing about whether 30-minute fast charging is acceptable. Still being told this is a hard physics problem that needs another decade. Chinese buyers are cross-shopping a luxury SUV that treats it as a solved feature, and the G9 isn't stripped to get there. Some versions add a 22-speaker system with vibration units in the seats, which turns the cabin into a small private cinema. The catch matters. That 12-minute figure needs a capable charger and a battery at the right temperature, and its driver assistance suite is not autonomous driving, no matter how the marketing sounds. Cut the claim in half, and it still embarrasses us. Let me stop the tour and just talk to you for a second. Think about what you paid for your car, or what you're still paying every month. For that same money, someone on the other side of this wall is choosing among SUVs that may charge faster than yours, carry more people than yours, or include as standard the features you paid extra for. We put in the same work. We simply get less car for it. Hold on to that, because the reason you can't shop those cars is coming. The fifth car starts with a company America banned. Huawei got pushed out of American phones and American networks on national security grounds, and most people filed it away as a story that ended there. It didn't end. Huawei went and became the nervous system of a luxury SUV. The AITO M9 runs a HarmonyOS cockpit and Huawei's ADS4 driver assistance system on an 800-volt silicon carbide platform, and parts of Huawei's wider vehicle ecosystem add satellite communication that works where cell coverage doesn't. Full electric versions start in the mid-$70,000 range in China and climb, which kills the comfortable myth that Chinese cars only compete on being cheap. This is China aiming at the Mercedes EQS SUV and the Escalade IQ. And this is the one entry where the American objection is genuinely understandable. A deeply connected Huawei-powered vehicle raises real cybersecurity and privacy questions, and those questions get harder the better the software gets. That's the tension at the center of this whole thing. The technology that makes the car desirable is the same technology that makes Washington want it kept out. The sixth car you have to picture from outside. A driver pulls into a bay, stays in the seat, and the floor mechanism underneath pulls the depleted battery out of the car and slides a fully charged one into place. Around 3 minutes later, they drive off, roughly as fast as a normal fuel stop, and they never open the door. That's the NIO ES8, a huge 3-row luxury SUV with about 700 horsepower, just under 400 miles of CLTC range, and acceleration that has no business in a family car. None of that is why it's here. The battery swap is. We plan road trips around charger locations and pray the one at the halfway point is working. NIO decided the battery itself was the problem and built a network to replace it on demand. It even offers the battery as a subscription in some markets, so you're not buying the most expensive part of the car at all. On safety, the ES8 carries up to 11 airbags, which at minimum complicates the lazy assumption that Chinese manufacturers just ignore that stuff. The catch here is the biggest on the list. Battery swapping only works when a dense network of expensive standardized stations already exists. Ship this car to America without one, and it's just another large luxury EV. Building that here takes billions in capital and enough compatible cars on the road to justify it. That nuance sharpens the point instead of softening it. The electric family SUV Americans keep asking for already exists. What's missing is infrastructure we chose not to build, which brings us to the last car, and the one that should genuinely worry Detroit. Imagine Apple built a Model Y competitor. Imagine it priced the thing below the Tesla, wired it into the phone in your pocket and the lights in your house, and took hundreds of thousands of orders in the first few minutes. That car exists. The Xiaomi U7 launched in China from 253,500 yuan, putting it in the mid-$30,000 range and slightly under the Model Y's Chinese price, and Xiaomi said it took more than 200,000 firm orders within minutes of going live. Firm orders aren't finished sales, and Xiaomi is new to building cars at scale with none of the reliability record Toyota spent 50 years earning. Fair objections both. They don't touch the thing that actually matters, which is that Xiaomi never treated this as a car with software bolted on. Your phone, your navigation, and the devices in your home are meant to behave as one system, because a consumer electronics company designed it that way from the first sketch. In America, our most recognizable technology SUV is still the Model Y, and it has been for years. In China, buyers get to put it head-to-head against a newer rival from one of the largest electronics companies on Earth, and often pay less for the privilege. 7 in the showroom. Maybe none would arrive at the same price. Maybe some would fail our crash testing or wither without service centers. The part that should bother you is that we never get to find out. We don't get the test drive, and we don't get the price war that would follow it. We never get to park the 12-minute charging SUV beside the one we're being asked to finance for 7 years and see which one wins. Because the biggest thing Americans are missing here was never a specific car. It's competition itself. China has dozens of electric SUVs clawing at each other for every single customer. We have a protected market telling us that fewer choices at higher prices is simply what the future costs. These 7 cars are the proof that it isn't.